Folks, Troy Dooley, the Beachside CEO. I am in Miami, as y'all know, man. I've been flying all over the place this year. But I got to come down here at the invitation of Mr. Mark Seyforth, the founder of Day One. But more importantly than that is that Mark is not one of these kind of guys. And we see all kinds of CEOs, but some of them are, you know, they got all the gigantic toys, and that's all they look at. Mark's got a beautiful family, and we are setting out here in what I think is one of the best little areas just to have a chat, because it's right on the water. It's beautiful. You can hear the water in the background. But Mark was willing to take a few minutes out of his schedule just for us, and that's a privilege. Mark, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Oh, I want to say thanks. You know, a lot of people, because my tenure, I follow everybody. So I put the names in a database, and yours came back around, and it's like, oh, my gosh, he's still alive, is what I was thinking, you know. But I want you to share a little bit about your background, because people that don't know, you've been instrumental in some pretty big stories behind the scenes. Share a little bit about that.
Well, you know, actually, I'm very fortunate. My wife, at least my wife always tells me I don't look my age, and I say, well, thank you, dear. It's very important to hear that. But I have been around a long time, and I actually started in this industry back in the 70s. Now, that goes back a long time, and interesting enough, what happened for me was, and I always kid people, and I love the company, don't get me wrong, but in 1975, I joined Amway. And, you know, I always tell people, kids, and I said, you know, it's a federal law, everybody has to be in Amway at least once. But it's a great company. Don't get me, but at the same time, you know, for me, it's like, you know, when I was involved in Amway, even back then, I said, well, this is a great concept. I love the concept, but I just didn't like the opportunity, you know. And so for me, I wanted something different. So what I decided to do is I said, well, you know, why can't I start my own? You know, I'll just go out there. And so in 1970, later 75, I launched my own company called Seyforth Laboratories, Slender Now, and it was the first weight loss product, you know, milkshake weight loss product ever sold in America.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, first one. No one had ever done a milk protein that you sell as weight loss. We're the first one. Well, obviously.
Before Herbalife.
Oh, of course it was, and that's the story to come. So the company exploded. Went to 100 million in sales, 160,000 distributors. You know, and here I am, you know, this poor kid, because I came from a, very poor family. You know, didn't have a lot. Worked my way through college, got a degree in criminal justice. Had no idea where I was going to go, what I was going to do in life. And then I had a mentor come to me, and he told me this, and I've always shared this. He said, look, Mark, nobody will ever pay you what you're worth. So if you work for somebody, understand they're going to pay you what they want to pay you, not what you're worth in life. And so I said, if you're ever going to get what you want out of life, you got to be working for yourself, nobody else. Just understand that much. And this was somebody I looked up to and was very successful, so I got the message. So I decided to start my own. Went to 100 million, tremendous company, very, very fortunate. Again, I was in my 20s. And then in 1980, Mark Hughes, who was one of my distributors, started his own company called Herbalife. Well, at the time, you know, Mark didn't really know how to go about it, so I wrote him his comp plan. And I created, you know, I owned the manufacturing company that made all of Herbalife's products, so we made his products there for him. And the interesting thing is, I always kidded Mark until his unfortunate passing is that Slender Now had a button called Lose Weight Now, Ask Me How. Now somehow, over a period of time, when I would meet with Mark, that button became his, and I'd say, Mark, that wasn't your button. Yes, it's my button. I came up with Mark, I can show you pictures. It was not your button. I said, it's a great button, but it came from Seyforth.
That's true network marketing there.
Right. So, but, you know, after a while, it became Mark Hughes' button. You know, lose weight now, ask me how. So that's okay with me. Mark went on, had a tremendous career, Herbalife, still in business today. Obviously, you know, his unfortunate passing. But, you know, and probably that's one of the things that I felt very blessed about, is that sometimes I look back and I think, you know, if it wasn't for certain things, that could have been me. You know, because at the time in my life, when I was making all this money, just like what Mark said, I kind of got lost in myself and my own selfishness and the things that I wanted. I really didn't think much about others. I guess that's one of the great things about getting older, is if you make it, you start realizing it's a little more important to do other things. And of course, that leads us, you know, to where we are today with the launch of Day One, because, you know, this is a company that has got an unbelievable mission behind it about giving back. And even though I understand the need for everybody to make the money up front, and we've got that there, the end is it's going to be about giving back and doing for others. And that's going to be such a feel-good part of this business, you know, now and hopefully 30 years.
In the future. Now, after, and you sold the manufacturing company and went on, did your own stuff for a while, But a few years ago, you came kind of back out of just a sabbatical. You'd had some great times and launched a new company, and things started off well, but kind of went a little bit haywire. Can you share a little bit about that?
You can imagine. I took a long sabbatical, had a great life. I mean, again, when you make the kind of money I made at that young age and you're able to live off that for 20, 30 years like I did, it was wonderful, and I got to do things most people dream of doing. So, but I want that for everybody else now. I want other people, hey, don't wait until you're my age to start, get serious about where you're going. You can have it in your 20s, in your 30s. You can be in a position financially. You never have to worry again. That's obviously what we're going to be talking about here shortly with day one. But you're right. I came back. I started a company called 124. And it was my first real endeavor to get back out there and do it in a big way again. And even though I owned the company, I did take in some outside investment money. And that became really the sore spot. Because what happened is the company evolved and the company exploded. I mean, we had unbelievable growth and excitement. We had IT issues because I didn't own my own IT. Again, hindsight's always 20/20, but I should have known better.
Something you fixed this time around.
Something I definitely fixed. I said I would never, I think, what was I thinking in the first place, not owning my own IT? Now, of course, obviously I do with day one. But we didn't, but the company still grew. It still grew in spite of that. But what happened was, it really at the height of our sales, I had a situation with an inside investor that I could not get removed from the company. I tried everything to remove him, and literally, if you know me at all, and I think I've even talked about this, is when I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror at myself, and if I feel good about who I am, then I can go to work, and I go to work with all the passion and everything I got. I would get up and I look at myself, and I'm going, I'm happy because I know I've got somebody inside that I can't live with. Hi, baby. Food's here. Hi. We're taping, Mommy. You want to come tape?
Keep on rolling and we'll work right through it.
Okay. So I had somebody inside the company, that I really just felt I couldn't live with. And so I couldn't get them out. I tried everything possible. So I finally made the decision to just step away. I stepped away for almost a year before I finally decided to launch day one. So it was almost a year, and I turned the business over to Joe Perry. He ran the company. I continued to kind of just struggle and started going down in sales. It didn't have the same excitement that I had before. But at the same time, I just couldn't go back and work for something I couldn't believe in. So I started day one. Couldn't tell anybody. So people were upset with me. I get it. The 124 PCs out there, some of them, understood and said, I know there's a reason Mark would do this. Others were angry. They were upset. Why is Mark doing this? Why would he start 124 and then go over there and start day one? A company that's in competition with it. Even though I tried to get the companies to work together, that didn't really work. I get that. But the reality was I couldn't do it anymore. And so I had to leave. Now, since then, what's happened is, obviously, we finally cleaned that all up. I had to go through a process of Christian mediation with Joe Perry. We sat down together because we had to decide what was going to happen with the PCs we had in 124, with the product Nature Burst and Nature Boost, and we got it all done. And again, we did that in such a way that we've now taken everything, the Nature Burst, the Nature Boost, the people that were 124, and we moved them to a very simple, good company called Nature Good that's run by a gentleman named Jim Christie. I still own 100%. I have nothing to do with the day-to-day operations, other than the fact we provide the services, but I'm talking about me as an individual.
Absolutely.
I'm not involved because my heart, my passion, my soul, everything I'm doing is day one. And I tell people this. I say, you know what? I realize too that you can't do two things. People go out and try to do 4 or 5 companies.
Gosh, do they ever?
Yeah, and it doesn't work. I mean, you really got to be sold out to one. Now, that doesn't mean you can't maybe hold a position in another, or maybe but you really have to be sold out to one thing that you do. So I've told people, I said, look, either do Nature Good and do it with everything you got, and that's wonderful, or if you want, we're over here day one, then come join us and do it day one, but do it with everything you got. And if you want to be a user of both products, that's fine, but you're really only going to build one successfully. Now, again, that's a very unusual situation. And it only happened because of the chain of events. It's not something I set out to do. I didn't want to have 2 separate companies. I didn't, nobody wants to do it, But I have to. I guess it's like owning 2 different restaurants, 2 different franchises. One sells seafood, and the other one sells steak, and they still owned by the same people. So it is possible. The company's growing again. Nature Good's doing fine, but it's being built by Jim Christie and his leadership there. I'm over here, and of course that's what we're here to talk about. I'm building day one, and this is where I will spend the rest of my days, right here with this company doing what I love to do.
Well, and I can tell, the passion that you have for what you're doing at day one is unbelievable. But I think one of the strong points that people need to take home from this is, number one, you didn't just go sue happy.
No.
with anybody, the former investor, with Joe Perry, with anybody. And I want you to just elaborate a little bit for those that might be scratching their head. What exactly is Christian mediation? Because Joe had to agree to that too. So what is that?
Well, again, obviously it's for people that are Christians, and even though I don't make my own religious convictions part of my business, but I am a Christian, as an individual, and I have very strong Christian faith and beliefs. And Joe's the same way as a Christian. And so we felt like that for us to go through the process, which we kind of started. We started this whole civil process of suing and doing that type of thing. And both of us just didn't feel right about it. We just said, this is not what we should be doing. As Christian men, we should not be doing this. We need to settle our differences. So there's a thing called Christian mediation. Same thing like mediation you have, except it's biblically based. Okay. And so we sat down and we came to a decision about what we were going to do with the products and with the company and how it was going to be set up, and something that we could both look each other, man to man, eye to eye, and say, this is right, this is good. So we've done that, and so we've released a press release on it now, and it's out there in the public, and Joe's moving forward, and I hope he's blessed and does well in his endeavors, and we're moving forward with Nature Good, and we do have the products that belong to 124, which is the Nature Burst and the Nature Boost, which are really the integral part of that company. So yeah, it's done, and it was done the right way, and I feel good about it.
And that's what I like, because I believe that when it can be win-win for everybody, distributors that love Joe are now going to have a new home. They can go with Joe. People that love you guys over there with Christy and that organization, they can go roll with that. Those that have your crazy wild passion here,
have some fun.
Yeah, they can come over here. So that's going to be the exciting part. But I think something that stands out to me personally, somebody that's getting to be a new friend of yours, is that you've been able to realize this is a 38-year process. You wouldn't have been quite as forgiving, quite as mediated, focused back in your early days at all.
Absolutely not, because back in those days it was about me. I was a very selfish individual. I was financially driven. I set a goal when I was in high school to be a millionaire. By the time I was 25, I did that, and then I had bigger goals and bigger goals. I did all those things, but it was really about me. At this stage in my life, it's a little different. It's nice to be thinking about you. And I do. I think about every person that gets involved in day one is that I want them to have a tremendous experience. I want them to have great success. I want them, no matter what happens, whether they have a little success or a lot of success, just be able to look at me and look at this company and go, you know what? This thing is right. This is the way a business is supposed to be run. And I know that's what we've got here. I mean, we've got it. We've got it.
Oh yeah.
Something that I'm going to bring up, because we talked about Christian mediation. We talked about you being a Christian. We will, yeah. Whatever it was, yeah. I was like, what the heck? It's like, okay. But one of the things that sticks out to me, and something that we've shared, is that you're not wanting to build this company just for you. Matter of fact, you have implemented something that I think is very unique, because you said, Troy, I'd like to find around 12 leaders, that I can help mentor over the next year or two or three, whatever it takes, to eventually take this company into the next generation. And I know we're on a time crunch, but could you share just a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit different. And again, I'm 63. I'm not 25 like when I started my first company. So, I understand that it takes a lot of energy, to be out there, building. But I want to do it with a solid group of people. So, yeah, what I'm willing to do is I'm looking for that 12 men or women that I can mentor, that I can bring in, that will actually have a unique master's position. I call it Masters of the Round Table, that they'll actually share not only from a position of the company itself and its growth, but they'll also share in the company's profits, that they'll share in what we do internationally. I mean, I'm talking about from an ownership standpoint. I really want to take that group and let them be the leaders, the face of the company. And let's face it, that's the exception, not the rule. There's not going to be very many people that would be in that position, but because they have to be individuals that, number one, have the same kind of passion, convictions, and beliefs that I do. I'm not looking for some high roller type. I'm looking for real people.
So you won't pay me to be one of these guys?
No. I'll let you share in the rewards. I'll let you make more than you'd ever get by being paid by somebody, because I'll share in a way that no one's ever shared before, because for me it's about giving back. So I want this group of 12 men and women that are really going to be the leaders in the face of this company for the next 20, 30 years, like you said, in the next generation, I want them to have unbelievable success. And the best way to do that is say, look, guys, as we grow, you're going to share in that growth, And, again, when you look at it from just the standpoint of being a consumer of charity and getting involved, the opportunity there is unbelievable. This is just taking it to a whole different level. But it's for people that are really going to be giving back to everybody that ever joins this company. They're going to be the ones, carrying this message of day one, for the next 20, 30 years. So, yeah, it's different.
That's going to be the exciting part to watch, Mark, right there. Folks, there you've heard it. It's always a privilege when we can sit down with the visionaries. It's one thing to sit down with the operation crew or distributors, but to get it from the person behind it that thought it up, that put it together, and then created the team, that's the power right there. So it's fun. This is another one. Live life like it's an epic adventure. Stay dangerous, stay strong, and if you're in network marketing, act like it.